Okay, students. See, today we are going to discuss regarding the memory management in the previous classes. So we have seen something in the information regarding the process management. Okay, so here the memory management. So as usual, as we know, the memory is an important resource of the computer system, in which the data and instructions are stored, and from which the instructions and data will be retrieved. Okay, so we can say memory is important resource. Memory is important resource of a computer system that must be properly managed for the overall system performance. Means if you want to uh, get more speed, or if you want to work with the best performance or extreme performance with the computer system, so then we need to manage the memory. Unless you manage the memory in a particular manner, or in the best manner, or using best algorithm, so we cannot get the best performance, overall system performance from the system itself. So the memory management is very important. The management is nothing but controlling, coordinating. Here memory management means relieving the memories and allocating memories. Okay, so variable declaration, variable accessing, file accessing, etc. Or so where to store the, or where to store the processes, where from which the particular portion we have to retrieve that. So all these things will be there exactly. Okay, actually in the computer science there is separate subject is there, so which may need 6 months of course or duration in order to learn the memory management or overall memory. But for you, because it is fundamental, you need to know only about these things. Okay, next, memory management module keeps track of parts of memory in use and parts not in use. So here the first part, okay, in the management module, so keeps track of parts of memory in use and parts not in use. So if you select, or if you pick the memory pool of the computer, so there you need to make two partitions. The partition or the parts of the memory, so which is in use, means it may be used by the operating system, it may be used by some other task or the programs or process, or some portion of the memory may be free. Okay, so you need to detect, you need to find out, so how much memory is free, how much memory is occupied. Okay, similarly allocates memory to processes as needed and deallocates when no longer needed. So this is again, it comes under the memory management. Allocates means allow the processes to load into the memory. Okay, that is called allocates memory to processes. So as I have told in the earlier class, if the processes or the programs are loaded in the memory, then only they can be executed by the computer. Okay, so whatever may be the processes, say it may be 5 processes, it may be say group of 25 processes. Okay, total processes which are needed to be executed, so will be will be stored in the particular memory portion or memory locations with the help of memory management. And similarly, on completion of the processes, so those processes which have got or get stored in the different memory portions should be deallocated. Deallocation is nothing but a process of removing the processes from the what you can say memory portion. Allocating is nothing but allowing the processes to load into the memory. Okay, so these two functions, allocating or allocates the memory to processes as needed, and similarly deallocates when no longer needed. Okay, so these two are the special modules, so which comes under the memory management module. Okay, so next one is uniprogramming memory model. Here used in systems that process one job only at a time. So Unicode, uniprogramming, university, okay, uniform. So these are the words which need, or which gives the hint like it's only one single, like, okay, used in systems that process one job only at a time. and all system resources are available exclusively for the job until it completes. So it is already told. So in the uniprogramming, there will be only one process executed at one time. At the same time, all system resources like memory, IO devices, IO processors, etc. will be allocated to only that particular job. Even though there are certain other jobs are waiting, still all resources like memory, IO processors, IO devices, etc. will be concentrating on that job only. So only after the completion of that job, so it will shift to the next one. Okay, it is simple and easy to implement because at a time only one job will be executing, so all resources will be spent to that particular job. So it is very simple. You can find very simple and easy to implement, and does not lead to proper utilization of the main memory. So this uniprogramming memory module does not lead to a proper utilization of the main memory, as unoccupied memory space by the currently active user process remains unused. So some of the process may be waiting, as I have told. If there are 5 processes need to be say executed, so if the system will allocate only one job at a time, so then the other what I can say, the process should wait. One thing. And second one, so when the memory is used, that time IO processors may be used for the second or third job, but it will not like that. When one job is executing, all resources are spent on the what I can say, that job only. So this may be this leads to the proper utilization of main memory not in a particular manner. Okay, so we are saying it does not lead to proper utilization. It is not the way of proper utilization of the memory. Okay, used only on very small or dedicated computer system. So this particular model, uniprogramming memory model, can be used only on very small or dedicated computer systems. So dedicated computer system means if a computer is dedicated for only one kind of job. Okay, so for example, it will always come with the data communication part, DC, data communication. So there will be some dedicated lines or dedicated devices, electronic devices, which are nothing but the computer systems. So which will be used as router only, which will be used as particular purpose only, in order to what is getting the input, in order to display output. So nothing else. The other part of means the user is not going to interact with that computer. If there is no external interaction with the say computer, then the particular small computers will be dedicated to do a certain job only, specific job only. So in those cases, there will be uniprogramming execution will be there. Means only one type of job will be always be executed. So in those cases, this uniprogramming memory model can be implemented or adopted, used only on very small or dedicated computer systems. If a system is only used to display the what I can say, outputs or intermediate outputs, so it will not interact with that. So in those cases you can use it. Okay, in sometimes a system is used to only capture the what you can say, video of say CC camera. So but the other user cannot interact with that. The system is only arranged to capture the video from a particular or many number of what I can say this one CC cameras, means making the CC camera as the input. So the system will extract the videos from the CC cameras. So the overall work of this particular system is only capturing the video. So in those cases there is no more or no other activities. There is no more activities. So like inputting the data, processing, etc. Only it is meant for capturing the videos. That is uniprogramming. Okay. Next, in the uniprogramming memory model, how memory is going to be divided or partitioned. So this is the operating system area. So you can see here, this is the area where operating system is loaded. Think that it is like Windows 10, Windows 8, whatever it may be, Linux. Next, this much of portion is memory again. So here it is for user process and it is unused. So this portion is unused. Of course, apart from the area where the operating system is loaded. The remaining all portions will be used for user area. Okay, say this is the area which can be used to load the operating system like Windows 10 or Linux, Unix, whatever it may be. Next, from here to here, so this much of area can be used for user area, means in order to work with the processes or jobs. So out of which the user process is loaded here, and this much is free space. This much is free space. So here uniprogramming memory model means one program, user process. It may be a larger one, say swapping of two numbers or sorting of a number, so sorting of an array. So then that particular program is loaded here. Okay, so this much area is free. Okay, but in multi-programming memory models, two memory management schemes used to facilitate this area. Facilitate means providing facility. Okay, here multi-programming with fixed number of memory partitions, multi-programming with variable number of memory partitions. Here with the multi-programming with fixed number of memory partitions, user area of the memory is divided into number of fixed sized partitions. Means, so this is the area, no? This is the user area. This user area is divided into several number of partitions, equal partitions. It may be 4 bytes, it may be 16 bytes, it may be 32 bytes, like that. Say 32 bytes equal partitions, or 16 bytes equal partitions, or 18 bytes or 8 bytes fixed partition, or 64 bytes fixed partitions will be there. Okay, so user area of the memory is divided into a number of fixed sized partitions. Fixed size means each partition size is equal. Say if it is 16 byte, all partitions will be of same sized partitions. Okay, like the area in a city where the land may be of same 16 by 60 by 40 sites. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರು 60 by 40 ಸೈಡ್ಸೇ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಸೇಮ್ ಸೈಜಿನ ಸೈಡ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಸೈಜ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಯೂಸರ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ಮೆಮರಿ ಈಸ್ ಡಿವೈಡೆಡ್ ಇಂಟು ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಷನ್ಸ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಎವ್ರಿ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಸೈಜ್. ಓಕೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಲ್ಟಿ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮಿಂಗ್. Here also you can execute, you can work with multiple programs. Here also you can work with multiple programs. But the only difference is here it may be 10 or 15 programs can be executed at a time, but all programs will be loaded in same sized memory partitions. But here in this case, multi-programming with variable number of memory partitions, the number, size and location of the partitions vary dynamically as processes come and go. Means we can say all processes will be of same size. So processes orders will be different. P1 is first, P2 is second, P3 is next, like that. Similarly, P1 may be the larger than the P2, or P2 may be smaller than the P3. P3 may be larger than the P2 or P1. Similarly, P5 may be smaller than all other things. So like that. So different number, different sizes of processes will be there. So in order to work with those things, number, size and location of the partitions vary dynamically as processes come and go. So dynamically in the sense, it is not static. Prior to the execution of jobs, these things are not decided or finalized. Okay, when the particular process comes into the portion or execution, then the system will decide, or memory management will decide how much memory is needed to this particular task. Okay, that suppose this is first say process P1 needs say 16 bytes. P1 needs 16 byte. So 16 byte memory portion is given to it. Next one is P2. P2 needs only 8 bytes of space. So 8 bytes will be needed. P3 needs 10 bytes space. For P3 10 bytes will be given. P4 needs 25 bytes. Say for P4 25 bytes will be given. Like that, the process what or how much the memory size, how much size it requires to execute, so that much of memory portions will be allocated to the specific or particular say processes. So this type of allocating the memory size, required memory size to the processes is called dynamically allocation or dynamic memory allocation. Dynamically it allocates the processes, means during the execution time how much it requires. So the system or the memory management will provide that much of area. So there are many what I can say advantages over this one. Okay, so what are the different advantages? Means all processes will not be of same size, first of all. Okay, so second one is the processes may be important or not important, but all processes will be getting the required number of memory sizes. So these are all the advantages of it. Okay, next, multi-programming with fixed number of memory partitions, very first one. So where you can see this is the operating system area where the operating system is loaded like Windows 10 or Unix, Linux. Next, portion 1, portion 2, portion 3 up to portion n. Say there may be 15 portions will be there. So you can see all portions of same size. So here diagrammatically it is displayed here. Partition 1 and partition 2, partition 3 up to partition 1 n, all these partitions of same size, means user area divided into n equal sized partitions for multi-programming with the fixed number of memory partition. Similarly for multi-programming with variable number of memory partitions, here what happens, this is the operating system area where say your Windows 10 will be loaded. Again this much is the user area. So before that, before any process comes into it, so this much of memory is free. When the P1 comes, automatically P1 will occupy this much area. So here the size is not mentioned. Say P1 is 16 byte or 32 byte. P1 requires this much area, so the operating system will allocate that much area for the P1 in order to execute it. Okay, so when it is executing, similarly the next process comes into the execution, P2. So you can generally by diagram you can have the difference. P2 will use this much of area for execution. That means directly you can say by seeing it, P2 is greater than P1, means P2 is larger than the P1. P2 is the larger process than the P1. So P2 needs more time to execute than P1. P2 has more instructions than P1. So these are all the comparisons what I can do is. Totally what I can say is the size of the memory which the P2 uses is more than the P1. So it will be like that. When P3 comes into the execution, P1, P2 and P3. Almost P3 is almost equivalent to P1. So P1 and P3 may be same. The size of P1 and P3 will be same, but P2 is the having more high size than the P1. So P2 will take more time to execute to complete the task. Okay. Even after P1, P2, P3's allocation into the memory, again this much of area is free. This much area is free. So totally 3 processes will be there. Okay. And size of each processes will be different. So as it comes into the what you can say memory for the loading, the memory management will allocate them in the suited area. Okay, next one, multi-programming with variable number of memory partitions. Okay, here when the P2 terminates, okay, P2 may terminates, so this much area will be free. Okay, similarly for P4, then P4 will come into the memory for the execution. See P1, P4 and P3, because P2 terminate agide alva, P2 is terminated, so P1, P4 and P3 will be there. So P4 will use only this much area. Before that, when P2 was executing, that time P2 was using from here to here, but for the P4 only this much area can be used. So this much again area will be free. This is free area. Okay, next P1 terminates. P1 terminates means this much area is again free. P4 will be executing in this particular area, P3 will be executing with this area. The same time P3 comes which can fit in free 3 area, this area. Again P5 comes. P5 is smaller than P1. only this much area is given. Again in this partition free 3, this is again this much area is free. Means memory will allocate the area of memory or portion only how much it needed, how much it needs, or how much it is needed for the particular process. For the P1 it may be 16 byte, for P5 only 8 bytes. P5 needs 8 bytes, so only 8 bytes will be given, so remaining will be announced as the free space. Okay. Next, in many computers and mobiles, so we'll be using virtual memory. Okay, memory management scheme that allows execution of processes that might not be completely loaded in the main memory. So previously, generally we are saying if you want to execute any job or the process, the job has to be loaded in the memory. But in some cases, not entire job has to be loaded in the memory. So this is the actual situation. Suppose if the process is of 32 byte or 64 byte, all 64 bytes of the process may not be loaded into the memory. Only 16 or 32 bytes is enough in order to start the execution. But the remaining portion of the process should be loaded in any other area like virtual memory. So it does not require the entire process to be in memory before the process can execute. Before the process can execute, it does not require the entire process, means the 64 bytes, to be in memory before the process can execute. Okay, so some 40% or 50% or 60% of the portion of the process may be in the virtual memory. Okay, the virtual memory realization. Three basic concepts used for its realization: online secondary storage, swapping, and demand paging. Here, first one, online secondary storage, used to keep a process address space ready to be loaded into the memory. So online secondary storage, online. So what do you mean by online? At same time, okay, used to keep a processor's address and address of the process space ready to be loaded into the memory. It keeps track of the information which will be readily available to load into the memory for the process. Second one is swapping. Swapping is nothing but interchanging. Process of transferring a block of data from the online secondary storage to main memory. That is swapping in, or vice versa, that is swapping out. So swap means interchange. So sometimes the memory block, a block of data from the online secondary storage to main memory. From the online secondary storage to main memory means it may be in the hard disk. Some portion of say data may be transferred from secondary storage to main memory. So this type, or similarly main memory to secondary storage. So suppose if you want to do some task, then a portion of data will be from secondary storage, the primary or the RAM will be loaded. On completion of that job, again from the memory to the secondary storage will be. Say simple, it's simple. One example I can give for the swapping is, if you will open a particular file, you will open small file on Notepad something. Okay, so on opening in the Notepad, you will make some corrections in that file. You will make some corrections in that file. So after the correction, again you will say save and you will close the Notepad. So in this particular task, without knowing, without coming to the consideration of the user, so what is going to be in the particular say computer is swapping process. That is, as you say open a particular file in the Notepad, it will open all the content in the RAM. Okay, so it may be of say 80 bytes of space. 80 bytes of information or data will be loaded into the memory from the secondary storage, which are available in the Notepad. So you will do some corrections. So you may add some data, or you may delete some data. So to overall you are going to make the correction. After the correction, you will resave. Again you will say save, just save. So changes will be saved in the same file and you will close that. Save and you will close that. So then it happens swapping out. When you say save and close, then swapping out, when you open the file in the notepad, then swapping in. Okay, next one is demand paging. Scheme of swapping in of pages of a process as and when needed during execution of the process, rather than loading all the pages before starting the process's execution. So means there is no need of loading the entire pages, or means entire content into the memory. Only important portions of the process can be loaded in the memory. The remaining portions may be in the virtual memory or the secondary storage. Okay, because in one particular software there are different kinds of softwares will be there, files will be there, out of which DLL files will be there, exe files will be there, then supporting some files will be there. So what does the operating system means? Operating system will load the important files into the memory first. Okay, when only some other files are needed, so then it will load them into the memory. Some exe files will be loaded first, next some DLL files will be loaded again, of course, along with that one. So some of the files, it may be text files, or it may be some other information files, it may be some INI files. These text files will be loaded later on demand if you want. Okay, otherwise only those things will be loaded in the memory. That is called demand paging. Page is nothing but contents. It is nothing but some contents. Okay, all contents means entire content of the file or the process will not be loaded on the memory. Only some important portions will be loaded into the memory on demand, on needed, on requirement. So the remaining portions will be loaded in the memory. Okay, next one is advantages of virtual memory. So using the virtual memory, so what is the benefit for the user? It provides a large virtual memory to programmers on a system having smaller physical memory. Instead of smaller RAM, so if you use virtual memory will definitely helpful while the processes or the programs will be executing as the secondary portion, temporary secondary storage. Okay, next, enables execution of a process on a system whose main memory size is less than the total memory required by the process. Sometimes RAM or main memory will be very less in the computer or the laptop, but still you can execute the large processes on it if the system has the virtual memory. So you can change the virtual memory space in the control panel of the operating system. So go to control panel and use the virtual memory sizes. Okay, you can change the virtual memory sizes, or default automatically virtual memory size will be set, or manually you can change the virtual memory, so that even though your main memory is smaller, but you can work with the larger processes. Okay, the third one, enables the processes execution to be started even when sufficient free memory for loading the entire process is not available. Means whenever it is difficult to load the entire program or lengthy program on the memory into the memory, still this virtual memory enables the process execution to be started. Even though it is insufficient to store the process into the memory, still with the help of virtual memory you can start the process execution. Then makes programming easier. There no longer need to worry about the memory size limitation. Of course it sounds same to the previous points. Makes programming easier. Programming means you can write the program, you can debug the program, you can execute the program easier. There no longer need to worry about the memory size limitations. So you need not to worry about the memory size. Go on planning the program, go on compiling the program, go on debugging the program. So be ready with your program for the execution. Okay, don't bother about the memory size limitations, because anyway virtual memory. Okay, so don't bother about your main memory, virtual memory alva. Main memory ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಬೇಡಿ, ಎನಿವೇ ವರ್ಚುವಲ್ ಮೆಮರಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ often leads to less I/O activity, resulting in better throughput. So with the help of virtual memory, it leads to less I/O activities. Means input output activities will be very less in order to resulting in better throughputs. So turnaround time and response time. So you know throughput, turnaround time and response time. So these are the time intervals or time delay with respect to the CPU, isn't it? Throughput, turnaround time and response time. Response time will be more, very less time we will be getting the information from the system as soon as you submit your process. Similarly, turnaround time means your process will be terminated, your process will be completed, so within a short time. Throughput means you will get the exact output. Okay, you will get the best output within a short time. Okay, so this is the capacity of your system in order to execute, how fast the process will be executed. Okay, next, as it has the several advantages, the virtual memory is also having some disadvantages. Difficult to implement because it requires algorithms to support demand paging. So demand paging, in order to explain the demand page, about a demand paging, it is very easier, but in order to implement the demand paging, it is very difficult. Means some complex algorithms need to be built. Okay, so it is difficult to implement because it requires algorithms to support demand paging. So what do you mean by algorithm? Okay, anyway, from the next classes we will starting the problem solving techniques. Under that, algorithms will be there. Algorithm means step by step procedure to do certain task. If you want to do a task, so all time you will not have any one step, so there will be several steps, or there will be some definite number of steps will be there, there will be infinite number of steps will be there. So algorithm is nothing but it's a sequence of steps to do certain task. So here the proper algorithm is needed in order to implement virtual memory. Next one is, if used carelessly, if you use the virtual memory carelessly, it may substantially decreases the performance due to high page fault rate. Substantially means it may substantially decreases the performance. Most of the times we are working with different programs. So if two programs are running, still we attempt to execute another program. Sometimes you might have seen these things. The third program or the fourth program what you intend to work with will be busy. It will not be open. A small circle will be moving like that. So what it gives is, it gives the indication like it is busy. It is doing something. It is trying to execute that one. It is trying to open that one, but it will not be open. So if you wait for a long time, still it will be like that only. If you wait for a long time, like 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, it will be like that one only. So this is called fault rate. So which decreases the performance due to the high page fault rate. So sometimes it is called deadlock also. Deadlock. Okay. Whenever you want to or intend to execute the processes concurrently, so that time, so it happens like this. Okay. So the third program or the fourth program will not be opened. Still it gives the sign like it is opening. It is opening. So small circle is going to be rotated clockwise or something. So which means that it will be open in a few seconds or a few minutes. But still if you wait for 1 hour, it will not open. So that time in computer what we are going to do is, we are going to use Alt, Control, Delete. So the taskbar will be opened. In the taskbar we will end the task by you click on End Task. Because which task is going to be opened, so that will not open in a proper way. So the system will be in busy mode. So at that time what we will do is, we will open the task manager by clicking on Alt, Control, Delete, and you will choose which program is not opened or not functioning properly. So by clicking on the End Task. Okay. So this may be happened with the help of with the virtual memory if you have not used the proper algorithm. Okay, I think this much is sufficient for today's class. Say thank you.